Hi, it's Miss Renzi. This is the lesson for June 10th and June 11th. Um, I believe that should be a Wednesday and a Thursday. If you missed the live Zoom, this lesson is here for you. Okay, so today's lesson, to be honest, is going to be kind of a short one. This lesson is about Augustus Caesar and something called the Pax Romana. And we're just going to go through and we're going to talk about who Augustus Caesar was and what is the Pax Romana, why is it important? And then I have a brain pop for you to watch and today's work instructions and previews. So today's not going to be too long of a lesson. First of all, who was Augustus Caesar? Well, he was Octavian. It's the same guy. So Octavian was the guy who fought Mark Antony in the battle and won, causing Mark Antony and Cleopatra to kill themselves. When he went home to take over, Octavian changed his name to Augustus. Augustus is a word that means respected or loved or honored, and it's also the origin of the month August. August was named after Augustus Caesar. July was named after Julius Caesar. Okay, irrelevant. Let's keep going. So Augustus Caesar took over in Rome and he ruled there for over 40 years before he died. He died an old man and he was a very calm person. He valued tradition, efficiency, and order. He hated chaos and laziness, and he hated things to not work well. He was a person who really wanted things to work well. And so he made a lot of improvements during his time in charge of Rome. One of the most famous things he said was, I came to Rome and it was made of clay and I left it in marble. And what he meant by that was he rebuilt a bunch of monuments and temples in marble, and the city had this gleaming white marble sort of appearance after he left. He really did do a lot of important things. He improved the roads, he improved the mail system, and he brought relative peace to Rome for 200 years. So long after he died, the things that he did kept going. The key thing, though, that he was the first Roman emperor. They called them the imperators, but emperor, and that meant he was in charge. So the Senate still met. The senators still went into a room and talked all the time and wore their togas, but they weren't actually running things. It was Augustus who ran things. And he didn't really leave a good system for after he died. Augustus didn't actually have any children of his own. And so when he died, one of the only things that he hadn't figured out was how to pass on power peacefully. And so there were a lot of different problems with who got to be emperor next. And some of the guys who were put in charge were just really strange guys. But during the time that he was alive, he did the best he could. He wasn't perfect. Augustus Caesar had a lot of flaws. He was kind of a stick in the mud. So he passed all these laws, which if you did the Google form for the last lesson, Augustus Caesar is the guy who put in all those laws in place about you had to be married and you had to have kids and you couldn't do this and you couldn't do that. He was definitely kind of a judgmental guy, and he wanted everybody to be as respectable and traditional as he was. He was not really very open-minded. So when he died, for 200 years after he died, until about the mid 200s, Rome was relatively peaceful, and that is called the Pax Romana. Now, Pax means peace, Romana means Roman. The Pax Romana means the Roman peace. I cannot tell you how many sixth graders over the past 11 years of my life have thought that Pax Romana was a person. Pax Romana is not a person. Pax Romana is a thing. It's the peace. So to be completely honest, you and I would not find the Pax Romana all of that peaceful. It was peaceful for Rome, though, compared to all the civil war and craziness that had gone before. So during this time, Rome was still expanding its borders, so they were at constant war with their neighbors, trying to take over new countries. Inside Rome, the plebs were still revolting, the enslaved people were still revolting. And at the same time, now Rome also had to deal with all these tribes of people on the outside trying to attack their forts and steal all their stuff. So it was not peace, but it was way more peaceful than what had gone before. So for them, I guess it was peace. During the Pax Romana, the Roman Empire became really, really large. It expanded to a huge space. It went all the way from England in the west all the way to Turkey in the east and down to Egypt and then up to Russia. It was huge. It was really too large to be governed back then. So nowadays we have telephone, internet, planes. Back then, the fastest you could go was a sailboat or a horse. And it took 6 months to get from one end of the empire to the other. It was really too big to be governed. And it couldn't last forever. And soon we'll start to learn about what went wrong and how the Roman Empire ultimately fell. But for today, we're still in the golden age, right? The Pax Romana. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to escape this slideshow, and theoretically, I'm going to escape the slideshow. And then we're going to go and watch the brain pop about the Pax Romana. So I kind of not in a genius move, did not actually put the link in the slideshow like I normally do. So it's going to take me a second to get to the video. I apologize for that. Pax Romana, there it is. Okay. So here we go. Let's see what Tim and Moby have to say about the Pax Romana.
Dear Tim and Moby, what do I need to know about the Pax Romana? From Bella. Well, the Pax Romana, the period of Roman peace, lasted for about 200 years. During that time, a lot happened, and the Roman Empire really flourished. Well, we can go over some of the important points. When Augustus Caesar took power, he created a bureaucracy. He hired citizens to carry out the work of enforcing laws and government programs. The Roman Empire covered a lot of territory. Bureaucracy made the government more efficient at ruling this vast empire. As Roman soldiers conquered provinces in Western Asia, Northern Africa, and Northwestern Europe, Roman officials and soldiers stayed in the territories they conquered. They spread the Roman system of representative government to these new territories. Nowadays, Roman government is at the basis of governments all over the world. Part of the reason that the Roman government worked so well is that it included an extensive system of laws to control how individuals treated one another and the state. Lawyers tried to interpret the laws in court, just like they do today. Romans sued each other a lot. Romans were known as the great builders. Emperors built hundreds of public works like roads, bridges, and monuments during the Pax Romana. The Colosseum, finished in 80 CE, was where gladiatorial games took place. To keep citizens entertained, emperors arranged huge spectacles called circuses in the Colosseum and the Circus Maximus. But they weren't circuses like we have, with clowns and acrobats. They included chariot races and bloody fights between gladiators, specially trained slaves who fought each other, and sometimes animals, to the death. Yeah, it's a little gross. The Romans also built sturdy roads and strong bridges, some of which are still standing today. Romans spoke and wrote in Latin. Latin spread all over the Roman Empire, and it became the basis for all the Romance languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and Portuguese. Poets, playwrights, and philosophers' writings told of the greatness of Rome. Emperors commissioned works that said it was Rome's destiny to rule the world, but the Pax Romana couldn't last forever. By the time Marcus Aurelius became emperor in 161 CE, Rome had gotten so big that it was difficult for one person to govern. Germanic tribes from northern Europe were starting to attack the northern boundary of the Roman Empire. The Pax Romana is considered by most to have ended when Marcus Aurelius died in 180. Hey! Well, I think the fall of Rome will have to wait for another movie.
Okay, Tim and Moby, thank you. Okay, so we're going to preview today's work. That's right here. So it's a Google form, like usual, not always, but usual. And this Google form has 2 questions. There's a passage that explains, or rather describes, 5 famous emperors who lived during the Pax Romana. And the question asks you to read about them and maybe tell me one you'd like to know a little bit more about. So there are 5 of them listed: Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius is my favorite Roman emperor. I don't expect you guys to have a favorite Roman emperor, but maybe someday you will. The second question is a reflection question. It says, based on the brain pop, feel free to watch it again if you need to. Please answer the question below in 2 to 3 sentences. What role did the Roman system of bureaucracy play in the Pax Romana? Was it successful? So in case you need a definition on bureaucracy, bureaucracy is a system where there's order. And so when you want something, you have to apply for a permit at an office, and an official stamps your request. Basically, what bureaucracy does is it's not just about asking random people for favors. It makes life more orderly. So when you need something, there's a system and a protocol for getting it, right? And so the system is more fair to everyone because everyone has to fill out the same paperwork. When you hear people using the word bureaucracy in regular life, usually they're complaining about having to fill out too many pieces of paper. Okay. All right. So if you don't understand today's assignment, feel free to email me at lrenzi at bostonpublicschools.org, or you can always text me 617-804-1403. And I'm going to turn off my recording. I hope that you have a really nice day.